Nobody tells you this, but the day you begin to rely on another person's presence for your own peace is the day you willingly make yourself fragile. You won't feel it happening. It's a slow shift. It's in the way you check your phone not for information, but for reassurance. It's the slight drop in your mood when an evening remains empty, or the low hum of anxiety when a message goes unanswered for hours. You start to organize your emotional state around the attention of others. Their contact becomes the confirmation you need to feel like your day is valid, like you yourself are valid. Without it, the silence isn't just quiet. It feels like a verdict. This creates a specific, quiet kind of pain. It's not the sharp pain of a sudden loss. It's the chronic ache of dependency. You feel like you're waiting. You're holding space in your mind and in your schedule for other people to fill. And when they don't, that space doesn't just sit empty. It echoes with questions. Am I not interesting? Did I do something wrong? Why am I always the one reaching out? So you adapt, usually without even thinking about it. You become more available. You say yes to things you don't want to do, just to avoid the possibility of a blank calendar. You soften your opinions. You downplay your needs. You perform a version of yourself that seems easier to love, easier to include. You do this because the alternative, facing that empty space on your own, feels terrifying. It feels like staring into proof that you are not enough. But this adaptation has a cost. The more you shape yourself for the approval and company of others, the less of you there actually is. The person people are spending time with is a carefully managed performance, and that performance has no foundation. The moment the audience leaves, the actor is just a person in an empty room, unsure of who they are when no one is watching. This is where the real work begins, not in finding more people, but in facing the empty room. The shift isn't about building walls or rejecting connection. It's about relocating your center of gravity from outside yourself to within. Think of your sense of worth as a house. If that house is built by committee, every member of that committee has a key. They can come in and rearrange the furniture, leave the lights on, or walk out and leave the door swinging open in the wind. Your peace is at the mercy of their whims. To build a solid life, you must become the sole architect and occupant of your own house. This starts with a simple, deliberate choice: to sit in the quiet and not run from it. To spend a Saturday alone, not as a last resort, but as a planned experiment. To feel the itch to scroll, to text, to fill the void with noise, and to consciously decide not to. In that stillness, you will meet yourself. Not the version you present at work or to your friends, but the raw, unedited version. And it might be uncomfortable. You might meet boredom, restlessness, or a backlog of unprocessed thoughts you've been avoiding. That's not a sign you're broken. That's your material. That's what you work with. You begin by changing the questions you ask. Instead of, "Who wants to see me?" you ask, "What do I need right now?" Instead of, "Why didn't they invite me?" you now ask, "What can I create or build in this time that is entirely mine?" The fundamental question shifts from, "Am I being chosen?" to, "What am I choosing for myself?" This is the brick-by-brick work. It's building discipline, finishing your work project even when no superior is monitoring your progress. It's building self-respect, honoring your own bedtime, cooking yourself a proper meal, saying no to a request that drains you, even if no one is there to witness the boundary. It's building an internal voice, learning to speak to yourself after a mistake, with the same calm understanding you'd offer a friend, not the harsh criticism you might fear from others. You learn to be your own source of encouragement. You become the voice that says, "It's okay, just take the next step," when you're tackling something difficult alone. You learn to validate your own efforts. The satisfaction of completing a task, of learning a new skill, of simply maintaining your own space, that satisfaction becomes its own reward. You stop waiting for a certificate or a compliment. The act itself becomes the point. This process, over time, changes your relationship with solitude. The empty room is no longer a prison. It becomes your workshop. It's the one place where you are free from performance, from expectation, from the noise of other people's opinions. In here, you can think clearly. You can feel what you actually feel, not what you're supposed to feel. You can hear your own intuition, which is often drowned out by the chatter of the world. When you cultivate this inner solidity, every external relationship in your life transforms. They are no longer necessities for survival. They become choices. You no longer cling to people out of a fear of being empty. You choose them because you genuinely enjoy their company, and you like who you are when you're with them. Love, in all its forms, starts to come from a place of abundance, not deficit. You have love to give rather than a hole that needs filling. This creates cleaner, healthier connections. There are no hidden contracts. You are not secretly hoping this person will fix you, complete you, or be responsible for your happiness. You are two whole people choosing to share time and energy. That dynamic is radically different. It's lighter. It's based on mutual enjoyment, not mutual need. This foundation also gives you the clarity to protect your peace. Because you now know the effort it takes to build a calm inner world, you become wisely selfish about it. You understand that not every person deserves access to your energy. Not every opinion deserves real estate in your mind. You learn to say no cleanly, without lengthy justifications or apologies. You learn to walk away from dramas and draining dynamics, not with a slam of the door, but with a quiet final click of the latch. Your silence itself becomes a boundary. Your contentment alone becomes a statement. People will not always understand this. Some will call you distant, aloof, or changed. They may accuse you of thinking you're better than everyone else. It's important to realize that your growth will often be perceived as distance by those who are comfortable with the old, more dependent version of you. Your responsibility is not to manage their perception of your healing. Your responsibility is to protect the peace you have worked so hard to build. Of course, this is not a linear path. There will be days, maybe triggered by a memory, a song, or just a gray Tuesday, when the old ache returns. The quiet will feel heavy again. The loneliness will feel sharp. This is not failure. This is human. Strength is not the absence of these feelings. Strength is the ability to feel the loneliness fully, to acknowledge the ache, and still choose to move forward with your day. It's allowing yourself to miss someone while simultaneously knowing you are still complete. It's crying if you need to, and then washing your face and deciding what you'll make for dinner. That is the quiet power. It is unshakable, precisely because it was formed in the shaking. Those lonely nights, those silent phones, those weekends with no plans, they weren't wasted time. They were the forge. And you were not being destroyed in that heat. You were being tempered. You were being shaped into something more resilient, more flexible, and more defined. So if you find yourself in a quiet season now, do not see it as life withholding something from you. See it as life clearing the stage. All the background noise, the crowd, the distractions, they've been asked to leave. Now it's just you, under a single spotlight. It can feel exposing, but it's the only way to finally hear your own voice clearly, without interruption. This is your time to build the foundation that will hold every good thing that is meant to come into your life. A foundation made of your own resolve, your own discipline, your own self-respect. These are things that cannot be given to you, and therefore, they can never be taken away. You stop waiting for an invitation to begin your own life. You stop holding your breath, hoping someone else will give you permission to be happy, to be creative, to be at peace. You realize with a calm certainty that you were the only one you were ever waiting for. And from that place of quiet wholeness, you can finally connect with the world not as a beggar, hoping for scraps of attention, but as a benefactor with something genuine to offer. The goal is not a life of isolation. The goal is a life of choice. It is to become so solid, so complete in your own company, that when you are with others, it is a gift you consciously choose to give, not a need you are desperately trying to fill. You become the source of your own weather, and once you learn to stand calmly in your own atmosphere, you realize no external storm has the power to break you. It can only remind you of the strength you've already built in the quiet, all by yourself.